Hello everyone, welcome to my DLC any percent charge spread tutorial. This is just gonna be like a update to the last one because the last one kinda sucked. So, this will just be like a updated version. More things have been discovered. I didn't really go into as much depth as I did with the last one, but jump right into it, I guess. So, starting with the route, you do your standard kettle, talk, cutscene, skip, and then you come over to talk to this apple fella. Then after you get the coins from him, he'll give you 3. You'll go to Follies. You get all 5 coins from this level. This level is hell. It's a terrible level. Nobody likes this level. But I'm not gonna be on this level for too long. But very short, actually not sweet. It's not a sweet level at all. But, yeah, you gotta grab all the coins. Just, there's not coins on my screen visually, but, if you've played the level, you know where the coins are. And this acorn maker, this guy is a interesting part of the level. Because there are 2 ways, there are 3 different ways to beat this level in different speeds. So, there is the strat two-tone hop, which is where right here you would take intentional damage. Also, I'm using the Hitbox Mod to just to make things a bit more easier. Like, I should have infinite health. Yep, turn it on. So basically, two-tone hop is you take intentional damage here, then you oh, I screwed it up. You take damage in this pit, dash over to the acorn maker, wait, and okay, I'm screwing this up. Damage, time, damage, time. There we go. So it's basically just a timed kind of thing. I don't know why I keep screwing it up so much, but anyways, yeah. There we go. And then there's the other, per se more difficult than two-tone hop. The difficult thing about two-tone hop is that for the level, you basically have to get to this part of the level with 3 HP, which is not an easy task to do for any level at all, really. But Ninja Clip is definitely the faster option, but it's more of a 50-50 kind of thing. It's a lot with the setup, the shop skip glitch, or it's not necessarily a glitch, but the trick that we use in speedruns where you buy and leave at the same time. And then you also want to like flick the knob to like the left. So you do like you just kind of like penetrate through the acorn maker. There's different setups for this. I'd say the most consistent is dashing and then dash again and then just doing the setup. You definitely get through it a lot more than you would normally. But yeah, or there's just the classic way of just shooting an EX and then just killing it. It wouldn't die that fast. I've already dealt some damage, but it's very standard. Just shoot, kill, and it'll die. Then you get to the end of the level. If you have extra hit points, just go down to like the pit, dash down, and then the level's over. Yeah, and then once you've done that, you come over to the shop, enter it, buy the spread weapon, and then you want to land the shop skip glitch. If you don't feel too comfortable with it, it's fine. It doesn't save too much time with this shop at least because you're only buying one thing, so it's not that big of a deal. But the setup for shop skip is just pressing whatever your buy and leave buttons are. You press those at the same time. For me, it's a standard A and B. You basically just press them at the same time. It's a very iffy trick. It's very 50-50. Then, to get to the DLC, you gotta do the most boring level, Mausoleum 1. You just parry the ghost. There's a little trick you can do where you want to count your ghost, and every 7th and 17th and 24th ghost, those are the only ones that progress the level, so you want to make sure you parry those ones ASAP. And if you want to equip the super art for any boss, feel free to. I'm just going to show you the standard sets of just basic EXs and weapons. And by the time you get to Inkwall 4, you should have 4 coins, and you would leave the Salt Baker's Bakery, Then you equip the Astral Cookie Charm, which is the Chalice Charm, very very helpful for all these DLC bosses. Then you come to the Chalice tutorial. You can do a dash, you can do a roll, you can do whatever you want. I prefer to roll. You come up here, then you can dash, and jump, and then dash again. Saves quite a bit of time, like 3 seconds. It's pretty good time save. Instead of just parrying these, saves you some time. Anyways, you grab that one singular coin. You should have 5 by the time you leave that. Talk to this cat. He'll give you 3 coins, just like the apple did. You'll have 8 coins, which you need 8 because once you go into the shop, the only weapons purchasable are Crackshot, Converge, and there's some other one. I don't remember the other one, but you want to buy the one that's Crackshot because when you buy that one, it'll give you charge. And then once you get that, you would just replace the pea shooter with charge, and then you head into your first boss, Glimstone the Giant. This is not a very challenging boss. He's not too hard. For the first phase, you want to get as many parries as possible. Shoot. Most of the time, you're going to want to shoot 2 EXs. See, instantly do that. And right here, you want to charge up a charge shot and then jump. Like, after he's pretty much fallen all the way down and you can't see him, see Glimstone for a sec, you want to jump to the side, and then you want to shoot, or you want to, like, basically just, and then shoot it like that, and then it'll hit that guy. Shoot some charge EXs, or not charge EXs. You can do charge or spread. Charge is much more easier to do. Spread's a little bit more risky. It does do more damage. It's a bit harder to land. But with charge, it just, you always land them. It's pretty good. Sometimes he will land up here, which is kind of annoying. Alright, so by the time second phase is dead, you want to make sure that you have 1 card, or at least close to half, for this last phase, because there's a glitch called Jump Roll. Sure, you might have seen it already if you're looking into DLC. It's basically where you can just float in the air, and you're just kind of stuck up there, which is good for the last phase, because the last phase is airborne. So you want to just, and you just get so much spread damage, it's just very helpful. It's very, very easy trick to do. It may look a little tricky, but it's very consistent and easy. When you're going into third phase, you want to charge up a charge shot when you go down. Release, EX, and then dash. You want to make sure that EX and the dash are very, very close to each other. You cannot hit the ground. You must do that midair. You cannot just hit the ground and then jump up and then do the EX and dash. You have to do that while midair. The jump itself doesn't really matter. It's mostly about the EX and the dash. Those have to be pretty close to each other. It may sound like it's a frame perfect trick, which it's not quite, but don't be afraid of the strat. It's not very hard to grasp. It's very easy. Once you learn it, it's very worth it for this route and lava spread route. It's just very helpful, and it makes the last phase much easier and less concerning than it used to be. Now moving on to Mortimer. Mortimer's a interesting boss. He can be a little tricky sometimes. Sometimes he'll play games with you. RNG can screw you up. So basically, at this first phase, you want to charge a charge shot. Then you want to jump up and then like swap to spread EX, or not spread, spread EX. You want to switch to spread. If I can stop getting hit. Charge, EX, or not EX, spread. Charge shot, charge shot, charge shot. Alright, so at this part, in the midst of this transition to second phase, when it'll still show like the wizard, and then it'll show like the snowman, like they're kind of like still like morphing together. But like in the middle of those, where it's like it's gonna hit the snowman and Mortimer, it'll do double damage because you're hitting 2 separate hitboxes. So when he like pulls out his little bell, that's the time you want to take intentional damage to jump up and do a Spready X. But Spready X is just the best overall because it does so much damage. But if you don't feel quite comfortable, you can still jump up a bit, like do a little low hop, and then shoot a Charge EX, and it'll do pretty much, it'll do about the same damage. You'll still get the double damage, it just won't be as good as a spread. But if you don't just feel comfortable taking the extra damage, you can always just do a Charge or Spread EX, and if you don't get the EX off at all, that is fine. It'll lose a bit more time, but it's not the biggest concern. If you're just starting out a bit later into your runs, you might want to think if you can still get a good time on this boss, or you just want to reset now. So basically, like that. It just kind of hit both of them. And then for this part, I usually take one intentional hit here, and then get 2 Spread EXs off. If you don't want to do that, do Charge EXs, man. Charge EXs work nearly just as well. They do good damage. You can still get like mid-high 40s, which are great times for this boss, especially if you're just starting out. If you're just starting out, don't really worry about your times. You just want to worry about your fights themselves. That's the only thing. That's your main focus, is that you want to learn on how you can actually play these bosses, and then once you know how to play them, you want to get a bit more faster for your runs. So right here, I would take. Now, that wasn't a good example, but right there, if sometimes you do get hit during your EXs, which your EX can get ghosted, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, you don't usually take 2 hits there. And then I would usually do the 2 EXs, but I missed one, so it's a little unfortunate. He'll just kind of move around a bit more. Yeah, okay. This part, there's a lingering hitbox right there. You can still hit for a bit. Get some more card and damage into the boss. Oh man, it died. For that last phase, that snowflake part of the boss just doesn't have a hitbox for some reason. It just kind of doesn't. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it makes the fight so much easier. Because you can just kind of, do a ton of Spready X's off. Also, right there where that happened, where I took another damage mid-air, that'll happen sometimes, and it's kind of annoying. Again, if you don't want to take the extra hit, just do some Spready X's, man. They work just as well. Well, not quite, but, you know, they're like a bit below average. They're just pretty good, man. Alright, Mortimer down. Bit of a tricky boss to learn. If you want to know where to hit that double EX, I would get the Hitbox Mod. I'll have a link for that in the description for you guys to download if you want it to help your practice. It's very good for practice. Howling Aces. This boss is definitely the first interesting one. It's got a major thing to it with the second phase. The second phase is a bit tricky. This first phase, you want to use 1 Spready X, because 1 Spready X is usually the right amount that you need. You want to get as many parries as well. Alright, so right there, transition in the second phase, you want to charge up a charge shot and then shoot it up. Don't shoot it too early and don't shoot it too late. If you want to just wait for the dog to get on screen, that's fine. But you can definitely hit him before he's even on screen. You can do it very, very early, and then you want to switch to spread, and he'll die like before even the other guys have like fully came in. And another interesting thing about this second phase is that there's a little hint that the boss will give you to tell you which way the order of the dogs will rotate in. So you can look at the right or the left, but if the right does a knuckle, that means he will spin upward, and if the left does, if he points, he'll go downwards, and then vice versa. It's definitely helps you make the fight a bit more faster. So you want to switch to charge EX, and then if you fall off, that's fine. But you want to use a charge EX on the 3 and then the first one that you shot. Will already be dead because you would have killed it before him. Right here, you can charge a charge shot and then shoot it just at the right time to where the dog, or it'll hit the dog. I don't think I hit it because I paused and it let go. But yeah, and then you want to use all of your spread EXs that you have on this phase, and then you want to get, so you can one cycle that phase. It's pretty simple. I don't know if it's pretty simple, but it's basically just getting enough damage to where all the laser beams were, where you got enough damage in that. The pattern's a little weird with that. Sometimes it'll just go on the other side to where you weren't. Yeah, and then it's not too big of a deal if you don't get it, especially, again, you're still starting out. It's very standard to not get this. I still don't even get this all the time in my runs. Even my, like, PB doesn't even have a one cycle. But, the main focus of this fight is mostly the second phase. That's definitely a hardish part about it. It takes some practice, like most of the game. Good thing about the DLC, much shorter, very few more bosses than the base game. But yeah, and then if you don't get it the one cycle, just shoot the antennas on how many more times you need to shoot them. So yeah, Howling Aces is down. 54, not an exceptional time for this boss, but mostly because I had to pause and then demonstrate. The times you want to aim for that are either low 50s or anything below 50. Sub 50 would be very good starting out. And I don't know if I mentioned it for Mortimer or Glumstone, but Mortimer times, again, pretty much the same thing for Howling Aces. Low 50, sub 50. Glumstone, 55 or lower would be pretty good. Again, if, like, don't say I'm like, these are like the expectations you must, like, hit as soon as you start learning all this stuff. No, it's definitely going to take you time to do this. So don't feel like discouraged if you don't get the times I'm telling you about, like, right away or in, like, a few days. It's going to take you time, like most things would. But yeah, now with Esther. Esther's a, I don't know, in my opinion, I think this boss is the easiest in the DLC. That's not what everyone thinks or agrees on, but this boss is not too difficult. Sometimes it can be pretty annoying. It can screw you over sometimes with some dumb damage that you might take. So right here with this cactus, when she does throw the lasso, her arm actually has a hitbox, so you can actually shoot an EX there if you want to take the intentional damage and then shoot the EX and then chain it while moving forward, like this. It would look like that, but I did it a bit. I messed it up a bit. If you don't want to do that, it makes perfect sense. And it's not even worth it sometimes with some of the patterns that you might get. For this first phase, for the way I do it, you don't want to use any EXs. And if you don't want to do the cactus lasso EX thing, that's fine. You can get like in between right here. It's a little tricky to find that spot, but again, using the hitbox mod, it does make it a bit more easier. If you have a nuke before the second phase is, or by the time the first phase is ended, just kind of get it to where like the like saloon, like where Esther was originally at, just like kind of shoot the nuke there. But yeah, if you don't have it, just you can kind of get like at the top of Esther right here and just kind of gets a ton of DPS without getting hit by anything. Right here, if you have some spare EXs, I would say use them. Does a good chunk of damage. No EX or no parries, but that's okay. All right, so you can get like a on the spot kind of parry, just like kind of in front of you. It's kind of tricky to get sometimes though. Like that. Yeah, you can get that, which parry could be good sometimes if you already have a nuke. Don't really worry about it, but most of the time you do want to go for that parry. And then right in this third phase. This third phase, you want to try and get as many parries as you can. And if you have enough HP, just kind of take, like, timed damage boost. Once you kind of know what kind of damage boost you should take, you will build, like, obviously you will build muscle memory from it, and it'll become very exceptional. Oh, man. This boss, like I said, yeah, it can be easy, it can be annoying. Very differing boss. Your time expectancies on this boss are, like, I would say, if you're just starting out, to be completely honest, sub 110 would be perfect. Like, that's a perfectly reasonable starting time. Then, yeah, use your nuke. Like, that was the example of you not having it. See, I don't have any leftover EXs, so... Also, get these parries. You just want to parry pretty much everything in this fight. Parries are very good for this fight. If you have a nuke right here, just go ahead and use it. Right about there, where it'll land pretty much instantly. Because, you know, you want it to be as close as possible so it can land as soon as possible. There's a example of that parry. If you have, like, 2 or 3 EXs while there's a transition in the third to fourth phase, I would use an EX while the third phase is, like, in shock and it's in, like, the transition. Go ahead and use that because it'll chain that hitbox and then it'll go into the fourth phase's hitbox, and then it'll just pull back, and then both the magnets will hit, and just do that. Yeah, we'll just dive into the hitbox like that. You just want to get all these parries, and then nuke, and then EX. Alright, and then that phase is done. I don't know if you saw, but when I was like, I took damage and my iframes were kind of ticking. You kind of want to use your EX as long, or you want to stall that EX as long as you can without dying, because then you have more iframes total, because if you just used it, like, as soon as you took intentional damage, then you wouldn't be able to stay in Esther's, like, face the whole fight, pretty much. Very small optimization, but very helpful in the long run, because you don't have to go further back and then have to dodge all the projectiles. Alright, Moonshine. This is a bit of a complicated fight. It's a little annoying first starting out for any loadout or any part of this. Yeah, like, I've already taken damage. I'm going to cover 2 ways to fight this boss. There is the Snail Skip way, which Snail Skip is, well, it's a pretty self-explanatory name. If you haven't fought the boss, don't know why you haven't if you're watching this, but the Anteater, which is the last phase of the boss, it will have a snail, and the snail will technically be the last phase, kinda. For the second phase, you kinda want to look at the spider's, like, pulling animation, and it'll do it about, like, 2 or 3 times, and then that's when you want to shoot your charge shot up, and it'll hit the second phase coming down, so that time you'll have more time to charge up another charge shot. See it hit, then you want to shoot the other charge shot that you shot, or that you charged up, and then when you shoot it, switch to spread, then shoot a charge EX, then back to spread. I'm not gonna go through. I might go through Calva swaps at the end, but if you're starting DLC as your first category, Calva swaps aren't a huge concern as your first thing. The priority is just learning how to run the category itself and just getting a gist of how it goes and flows. For this part, I'll show you. This will be the snail skip route, maybe, if I get the trick itself. It's very tricky. It's like a 2-frame window, very small. Does save some good time though. So right here, I'm gonna take 2 intentional hits. So get 2 spread EXs off, then charge EX, and then so before she gets back up to go to the megaphone, or whatever it's called, the telephone, I'm not sure I don't remember the name of it, but before she gets back up, she can still does damage. So, like there, she does not take any more damage. down at the bottom, you want to be down there, about right in that area, and you want to charge up a charge shot, shoot it, shoot another one, spread EX. Then you want to do 2 more charge shots, and then, okay, I did not get the snail skip. I can try and see if I can get it on this time. Okay, there we go. So, it's like in that snout. It's like at the edge of the snout. It's at the top and the bottom of it. Very tricky. I don't recommend going for it when you're starting out, but once you, like, if you want to learn the harder strats, like, you're getting better times, then you want to start learning this, then this is mostly for those people, or someone else that's already been doing DLC, they got a good time, they want to improve their times. This is basically who the snail skip is for. Now I'm going to show the normal route, which is just killing the snail. Oh, man, I'm doing really bad on this fight. Do about the same thing you did last time. Alright, right there. If you did all that right, you should probably have enough damage to where you just have to charge up a charge shot and then switch to spread, and it'll do enough damage to just kill the snail. Now, I know that fight looks a little tough, which it very most is. I'm gonna go through it one more time with smaller amounts of intentional damage. So, you want to the second phase, or not second phase, first phase, you want to do the charge shot. Okay, there we go. So that's the second phase with a more simpler version. Yeah, like I said, that snail skip is very tricky, and it's on the bottom and the top of the snout. Yeah, that fight is definitely, I would say, one of the hardest. Times for this, low 50s, sub 50, anything around that would be pretty good. Yeah, now moving on to Chef. Chef is a fight. So basically, first thing you want to do is charge up a charge shot, walk a bit backwards, jump, switch to spread. Sometimes you can you just kind of wait and then go, then switch to spread. If you can get parries without having to fully move and go get the parry, then go for them. But if you have to go out of your way to get it, then I wouldn't say grab it. Right here. So if he doesn't do the strawberries attack, which strawberries would make you do more damage, so you'd have to stall a bit. I'll show you the strawberries route after this part. But when he comes over here, after he does the first and the second, and then he gets to the third position, this is when you want to do over damage, which is where you just do as many EXs and as many bullets as you can land. So there we go. So this is actually doing over damage into the second phase of the boss. Oh, I didn't quite get that EX off, but when he's going into the transition to second phase, there's a lingering hitbox on any side. I'm not quite sure if it's on the middle, but I know on the left and right is there. So switch to charge, and then this part is a bit complicated. I think it's more of I'd be here for a bit longer if I described it on how it went. But it's basically, it's more of just a visual learning, I'd kind of say. So, here. Okay, there we go. That's the second phase. And if you feel frightened by that, don't worry, I was too. It's a very scary strat to learn. It's very difficult. Now this third phase, I haven't even got time to explain because I already went the whole second phase. Anyways, so if you have extra HP, but if you have like 2 HP and you don't feel quite comfortable with taking the extra hit, that's fine. You can just shoot him with some charge, but usually you'd shoot a charge by the time he's about to come down, then shoot 2 small charges, and then you do a spread EX. And then if he doesn't quite die from that, then just chase him around with spread while you stop iframes. And then with this fight, or with this phase, you just wanna just shoot him with charge shots. You don't have to do any fancy stuff. That's all it is. I'm retrying back with the fight. I'm gonna hopefully see if I can get strawberries, and then show you what that would look like. Alright, here we go. Yeah. So it seems like I've done a lot of damage, so I'm just gonna have to stall a bit so I can still get my over damage in. Alright, there we go. Yep, there's that lingering hitbox. You can see it's a bit purple for a second, then it disappears. So, back to second phase. Alright, there we go. That was a much better second phase. And sometimes those salt shakers can just, oh yeah, that can happen as well. You do enough damage to where you can get a 0 cycle with the third phase, which is where he doesn't bounce at all, he just kind of instantly dies. But yeah, the salt shakers, sometimes one can spawn in as soon as the transition happens in the third phase, which means it has a lingering hitbox, which means you can kill it, and then you can, which does damage into the third phase, which makes the 0 cycles much easier. Alright, there we go. That is basically all that is important to the DLC run. It's a bit tricky. If you have any questions, I'll have the link to the Cuphead speedrunning Discord server if you need to ask any pros any questions. If you want to ask me personally, you can just either in the comments section or just DM me on Discord. You can probably find me in the Cuphead speedrunning Discord server. But yeah, that is basically gonna wrap up the DLC tutorial that I have. Like I said, this was like an updated version of the last one that I made, because the last one I made didn't really cover as much, and it wasn't as good. I feel like, and the audio was a little bad. But yeah, I think that about does it for this tutorial. Yeah. Good luck with your DLC endeavors if you decide to do any. Bye.